right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Life Gone Real. I am really excited about this amazing couple that I have on the show. Her name, it's Naomi Epstein, and she is an entrepreneur who runs two businesses in multiple states. One business provides professional photography for weddings, events, and family portraits. And the second business centers around business branding, helping entrepreneurs and business visually brand their business through video and lifestyle photos, which is amazing. And we have Mike Beychok, who is CMO and COO of Serenity Trauma Center, and also had his own consulting business. He specializes in working with trauma, mood disorders, and addictions. He is currently completing his doctorate in clinical psychology. Mike's services are increasingly in demand, yes, definitely during this pandemic, as many people are feeling isolated, anxious, and disconnected and depressed. And I am definitely going to have him back on the show for another great episode, and we will talk about that. But welcome, guys.
Hey, welcome.
Hello. Yay.
Thanks for having us.
It's Friday. It is Friday night, and we are recording this, and it is cocktail hour.
Yes.
And I love these episodes because I enjoy a nice cocktail hour.
Absolutely.
And just to chit chat and have fun and see where all these conversation of the episodes flow, and it's a lot of fun. So Naomi and Mike have a really special story. Guys, we all know how much I like love stories, and I love, oh my gosh, talk about romantic comedies in any type of movie, those kind of things I am obsessed with. And they have an amazing quarantine love story that I found out while we were in quarantine.
And still are.
And we still technically are, but we're getting out a little bit more. But when I met Naomi and Mike, I think it was like in June, and we were like, can we go out to someone's house and maybe have dinner? Like it was that.
Totally.
And it was
in the beginning.
Yes,
Yeah.
It was in the beginning. And Naomi shared her story. I shared my crazy story of what was going on, craziness in my life at that time. But I want them to share their great quarantine love story. We're going to talk a little bit about dating. So just take it away, Naomi and Mike, but whichever one wants to go first.
Sure.
Ladies first. So
Okay. Perfect.
Well, so the story kind of goes where I was in Chicago, and I knew that I was going to come to LA, and I had a friend of mine, she wanted to check out LA, and I was like, hey, I'll totally go with you. I have a chunk of time in my schedule that I can fly out and go with you. So I'm on the dating apps. I was on all of them, you guys. All of them.
All the dating
and
apps.
all of them. And I had one of the dating apps, I had the option to change my location. So I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to LA, I know where I'm staying. I'll put my address in Santa Monica and see what happens. So we matched, and we were talking back and forth, and he was like, what are you doing right now? And I was like, I think I'm going to go for a run. And
I love
in
that.
Chicago. But a week later, I was like, hey, what are you up to? We started chit-chatting back and forth, and I was like, we need to meet. And we were going back and forth about like where and this and that, but we finally met up. We went to Tavern. That was our first date.
Yep.
And and it just, it was a really interesting way because when I was sitting in the bar, I was like, who is this guy coming up to me? I didn't recognize him at first, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I was like, oh, okay. So
Did you use filters?
No
Was it filters, Mike? Because we know about those filters.
No, I'm not good with filters, actually. It was just slightly old picture, probably like 2 or 3 years, just because I actually didn't have any newer ones. But then also I was working on losing weight, so I was hoping to be closer to that when I actually got to start meeting people. But
Okay.
I guess I wasn't. So
Got
at least
it.
it ended up working out overall. But
Totally. But I saw his interests. We had so many things in common. One thing that like really sparked it was tennis, because that's what we both play.
Love that.
And so we started talking, and I was like, God, this is a great guy. He just has such a great heart. And maybe his pictures weren't the exact pictures of what I expected when I met him, but I was like, hey, check yourself. Like, let's just see where this goes.
Right.
And that's where we rolled. So we just went on, date after date after date. And I told Mike, I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I'm only in town for a little bit. I have to go back to Chicago.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So Mike was like, hey, well, let me know, like, do you want me to come out and visit you? I was just like, hey, let's just see, like, where things go. So I was the one that was definitely more laid back on things, and Mike was more, let's do this.
Okay.
And so, we kept in touch, and then I came back to LA in January. So this was obviously pre-COVID, and I had some things lined up until March.
Okay.
So we were dating. We had a great time. Sorry, the one thing that I forgot to mention, when I came back in January, I saw Mike and it's funny because I saw him on the tennis court. And I was just like, oh my God, like he lost a ton of weight, looked amazing, and again, had this amazing heart. So I was like, oh my God, he's like the full package. This is amazing.
He's got a great smile.
Amazing smile, right?
He does. You've got a great smile, Mike.
He has $1 million smile. It's like, yeah. Sorry to embarrass you.
I know, but you do. Right. I'm like, it's great. Teeth.
Yeah,
Great.
I know. And so, yeah. And then just from there, we were dating. It was at that point where things were connecting. We're going out like 2-3 times a week, I would say. It was at this point where March came around and I didn't know what was going on. Mike, you called me and you were like, Naomi, there's things going on in the world, so I just wanted to let you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that was, luckily, I guess my parents have some friends that work at the Pentagon, so they basically called me and said, hey, things are going to get really bad. You should actually go get stuff right now because it's going to be madness in the next day or two. And so I went to the store, got a bunch of stuff, and Naomi's staying in a tiny 1-bedroom, more like studio with a tiny fridge, no bigger than, just like waist height, if even. So she couldn't really stock up or anything. So I went and got a bunch of food for both of us and toilet paper, vegetarian stuff because she's vegetarian. And I just told her you should probably come up here because you're not going to be able to really make it down there with the limited stuff.
And I was like, what are you talking about making it? Like, what's with the toilet paper? I have no clue what you're talking about.
That's funny. Like all of us. Yeah. I was kind of like that. I'm like, why do we have so much? I don't understand what's happening.
Totally.
So I get it.
Totally.
I get it. I wanted to know real quick before we go into all that, though, when you met, how is it on dating apps from a guy perspective? Because I'm just curious.
Sure. So I think it's tough because for me, I had been in a relationship for about 6-7 years before that. So before that, there weren't really apps. It was online dating, and I hated that too. So I was happy to be done with that. But then it was, I need to get back out there and do it. And because I live in the suburbs and there's not a lot of extra people that I meet or run into, it's kind of the only way to meet new people. And I have a smaller group of friends, so it's not a bunch of people that can just introduce me, or there's new people coming in and out of my life every day. So I figured that was something that I needed to do, but I was pretty hesitant because I'm not a big just hook up and one night stand person. So I didn't want to be on Tinder or any of the apps that were known for that. So
you were one of the good guys on the apps?
Yes.
Right? He was one of the good guys on the apps.
Yes.
Yeah.
That wants a relationship.
Right?
Got you.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that I really actually spent some time looking at the different apps to see what was going on. And I mean, it's kind of tough because most of my friends are more of the mindset of just get on as many things as possible, try to meet as many people as you can, but that just doesn't work for me. So it was a lot of just seeing what seemed okay. And again, because I was just kind of getting back into it, I was like, all right, let's find something that doesn't take a ton of effort, that's going to be crazy, but that I could really get a good amount of information about myself out there without having to fill out like something that's going to take me 3 days. Like I know eHarmony takes forever to do that kind of thing. So it was kind of a combination of that. And I think it was really surprising for me because back when it was the online dating, you rarely get, or at least I rarely got responses, barely heard back from anyone, and rarely had people reaching out to me. But then when I signed up for the app, I had more than I ever expected. Like I actually got people reaching out to me without me reaching out to them, which was very strange for me. So
Wow.
that
And
was-
which app was it? Which one was it?
Hinge.
Hinge.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys did Hinge. So
Yeah.
I've experienced Hinge and Bumble. I think Hinge is a little bit, I don't know, it seems a little better, but then Bumble's fine. I don't like them.
Yeah.
I didn't like the apps.
Yeah.
Only just because and you guys seem that way too, just a little bit more personable. It's a little more, I want that connection.
Yeah.
And I just, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
So I was just curious, like
Yeah.
your thoughts on the dating apps.
Well, and I think the other thing is too for guys is I think it's a little bit harder actually because I think with girls, hopefully they get a lot more interest or messages and can cipher through and decide what they want to do. Where again, for me, it was really weird because when I was doing the online beforehand, I almost never got just a random person being like, "Hey, what's up? Let's start talking." But then on the app, I got a lot of that, and it was just strange for me. But so I guess nowadays it's a little more different. But it was just weird because I got a lot of that, and then people sending me their phone numbers. And again, when it was online, it was like it took forever for people like, "Oh, you want my
Right.
phone number?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more. Let's get to know each other." And this was like, "Oh, you talked to me for like 10 minutes? Sure, here's my number. Why don't you call me?" I'm like, "Oh, that's strange." So it was just a weird experience for me, but overall,
Okay.
it was okay. It's just I'm not a huge fan of the apps either.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
why I was only.
But I
on
was
one.
always like,
You had fun.
I was like, hey,
Naomi
it's a
just said
needle.
you had fun.
But I had fun. But at the same time, I was at this like point where I'm like, hey, it's a needle in the haystack, and I just need to find one that really sparks it. So if it goes, it goes, and if not, hey, listen, I had a great night. You're a great person. You're just not the one for me. But hey, I maybe learned something. Maybe it's a new book. Maybe it's a new podcast that they're listening to.
Right.
Maybe it's, an awesome show or a movie. I always wanted to take something away from a meeting. That's all
were
I
good.
always wanted to do.
You're good. I mean, honestly, like some of the things she was really good. I think of just like, hey, just go out there and let's just see what happens. And most of us, I mean, even me, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. I mean, really don't take that positive attitude. It's like it's too much or you're scared. So I think what you did was great, really.
Yeah.
And then you met him. Yeah. So you found that needle in a haystack.
Totally.
You found the needle.
I found the needle. Yeah. So going back to the story, you like called me and you were like, hey, I think you should come up. So I literally just packed like an overnight bag that had maybe a couple sweatpants, a couple of t-shirts and whatever,
Right.
Didn't really pack thinking that I'm going to stay for how long? 5, 6, 7 months then, and I just, it was just crazy. So yeah, we like moved in together. It literally forged our relationship like no other.
Wow.
Yeah, because we were just like, okay, we were dating. We were.
And how long were you dating like before? Like, what was it? Like 5, 6?
Not even
5
like,
weeks?
yeah, 6,
Okay.
5, 6 weeks. I would say like January, February, and then all of a sudden March hits.
Well, it's
Then-
also funny
right.
because so technically we were dating for like 2 or 3 months before she went back to Chicago, and then she was planning on coming back. I think, so she left in August or late August, and then was supposed to come back in November or so. And then because of just the situation where she was supposed to be staying, it ended up being January.
Longer.
So there was the big break in there, and then so I guess technically a couple.
We knew each other.
Yeah.
We met, but like I would say like the dating really didn't really start until like January.
Yeah,
Okay.
back.
Like we were like, yeah, this is
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Or she was like that.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay. You were like, let's see.
He was like,
okay.
I am in this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know.
Okay, so she's a little bit like, I don't know. You were in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were like, no, let's. Oh, okay. I love that. Though.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes women, I don't know. We can chase.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes women chase, and I like the fact that he knew and was more of that. I love that. Okay, so then you pack, and then you guys move in together.
And we just moved in together. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is just so different from anything. But it also like at the same time, it was like it felt like I was moving in with a best friend. So we just had like the best time together. And like our quarantine, like I would say the March, February, we played tennis like every single day, things that we loved doing. We went on hikes together. We cooked a lot. Like it was just all this dating that we had experienced, but with no outside forces. Like it was just us.
Yeah.
So I think that just really, really helped.
yeah, because you're really getting to know each
Absolutely.
other. It's just
Yeah. There was no dead space.
Yeah.
It was just always on. So yeah. You saw everything and I saw everything. So yeah.
So that's like, wow.
Yeah.
So it's really good. So you guys fell in love more during quarantine.
Totally.
Love it.
Yeah. It was just amazing. Like it happened really quickly. And then, I think it's just that time where you get to know someone and you just realize like, okay, if we could live in a 1-bedroom apartment with 1 bathroom during COVID.
Right.
We could
then
do
you can do
anything.
Yeah.
Right?
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's true though.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. There's married people. There's married couples that have been married for years.
Totally.
They couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there was nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
Legit. Like maybe in the bathroom, but like that was it. Like it was
Wow.
all the time, and Mike's work was all telehealth. So he is working from home and doing everything online. So, it was just having that time where I'm like, okay, he's in his work zone. I have to be in another zone, another area.
Wow.
And just go. Yeah.
That is that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then, so now, well, I know when were you guys able, well, had you met the family yet? Like none of it. So that was the other thing. Like you guys have, I mean, your family, your parents, you're quarantined,
totally.
you're living with this guy you've only met for like, I don't know, been dating for like 5 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
And so
that's the
what were
other
they
thing.
thinking?
Yeah. So my mom, I totally forgot to mention this, but like my mom, I called her and I was like, oh my God, this whole thing. And I don't even know what to do. And she's like, well, 2 things. You're either going to have to pack up and come home, or you move in with Mike and you're going to stay there for a while because this is going to happen. Like this is going on for a long time. And I was like, well, let's put all my faith in it. Let's put it all in.
Wow.
Like, let's just see.
Okay.
And and that was it. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's inspiring.
Totally.
Those are things I need to hear.
Yeah.
What about, I mean, really,
Yeah.
what about your family?
So for me, I think it's because they already knew, because I told them I really like this girl. And so, I mean, I feel like it would be really wrong to just leave her down in Santa Monica with no resources, and, her family's not here. She she has some friends, but she doesn't really have a lot of people down there. So they were like, well, as long as you think she's not going to do anything crazy, and why not just, that's totally fine, and you trust her. And my family's, I guess I've been like the air quotes because you guys can't see, but good child for my family. Like I never had a curfew, never had anything. So they don't really question a lot of the things they do. I mean, it's more like later on if they're like, oh, we don't really like this person, but they usually know that I have a pretty good judge of character, and I'm able to tell if people are, safe, good people. So they were okay with it, and they were just more interested in making sure they're like, just make sure you get everything set and then don't go anywhere. That was their biggest thing. They just wanted to make sure they're like, okay, as long as she doesn't have anything and she doesn't have COVID, bring her up and then just stay.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Mike met my family. I'm just trying to think because this was March. And I want to say like at the end of March was Passover. We're both Jewish. So we did a family Zoom, and we did Passover via Zoom. So it was weird because like everyone was like, well, who's this other person in the box? Because you have like the Brady Bunch thing where everyone's in their boxes.
Yes.
And he's like, hi guys, like I'm Mike and this is our place. So like everyone met Mike via Zoom.
Okay.
And I think it was something that my mom definitely had a hard time with because she was like, I don't even know him and all that stuff. But more and more we did FaceTimes and just had phone call, conversations back and forth, and she really got a chance to know him. But then later on, we actually flew out to see my family. So Mike got a chance to like meet everyone, and I have a huge family. So I'm like, let's just throw him in. Let's put him in the deep end. Like, let's see if he can swim.
How was that?
Yeah,
it was good. I mean, again, luckily because of therapy and the counseling that I do, it was fine for me.
You know how to do it.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? I'm like, you know how to do it. Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I was definitely nervous, but it was okay. And she told me they're probably just going to grow you a bunch. And again, luckily there's nothing bad in my past. I don't have to worry about them finding anything online or seeing like, there's this weird thing or what happened there. Right. So there wasn't anything that I was really worried about. It was just more being able to make sure I can answer the questions. And then there are also a lot of big talkers in her family, and they're loud. So for me, I'm not the biggest the
perfect.
most, high volume person. So it's more just like, I'm just going to let them kind of get into stuff and I'll talk and, interact with them. So it's also just making sure that I actually engaged and tried to be loud enough and, fit in with that side of things. That was my bigger concern, just making sure I could actually keep up with the conversation.
Oh, that's funny.
That's so funny.
But you guys, I love that because you guys compliment each other, and that's a whole thing. And, relationships like that whole complimenting each other. And for those of you who are listening and you, hopefully, if you want to watch the YouTube, just look at them and it's kind of ridiculous. I'm like, you guys are really, really cute. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. So now, what are things now? Where are you guys at, in your lives? Obviously this is amazing. And now you're, excuse me.
It's okay. Yeah.
And now, so there's a future, obviously, and you guys are, together.
Totally. Yeah.
Lots of good stuff when I get, and because I guess I sort of skirted around it, but not meant to. And then my family loves her too. She got to meet, my parents, and my sister's got a lot of autoimmune stuff, so we have to be really careful at the house. So it just took a little bit so that my parents and my sister were comfortable, but we had a lot of dinners outside and everything, and they love her, so that part's been fantastic.
That's great.
What's there not to love?
Right? Exactly.
I love the story, and I love you. I think you guys are great. And I do love the fact that for the people out there who honestly are single, and I experienced the dating apps, and it is hard.
Yeah.
And people want to meet. I don't know. I think because of the virus, there's been so many people that have been closed off.
Sure.
To where I'm like, no, hopefully people will get back out in the world eventually. But just meeting people. And it is weird dating during the whole pandemic, I'm sure.
Of course.
But the dating apps were hard for me, but I know they work. So they worked for you. So anyone who's listening or watching, I think it's great because there is hope.
Absolutely.
There's hope. And you're the second, actually, if episode 3 of mine was another dating story. It was a dating app on Bumble. Hers was Bumble.
Okay.
So those are the two that even I did. But no dating. No, there was no dates that came out of that.
That's okay.
It was quite comical to me. I just always thought it was funny when they'd reach out, but then, and you'd say, hey, it was more of that, hey, how's your date? Such surface level stuff. God. And then, they don't answer back for a day. Yeah. And then you'll say something. And you're like, and then it's another day. My message. I'm just like, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
So I found that a little, just weird and exhausting. It was a little different for me. So I'm a little bit more, I like more of the organic, I think. But that's hard to find.
I think we all do. Truly, we all do. But then it's like, okay, if it's that organic way of meeting, but if you're still hanging out with the same people and you have the same crew that you go out with all the time, this is a great opportunity to kind of get out of your circle and, stretch that comfort zone and see who's out there. Yes, obviously, you might not get the best here and there, but you go through and you see and you take a chance. Yeah. And you see what happens.
I think it's really good for all the ladies, single ladies out there listening. Honestly, what Naomi, I like what you just said. You took a chance and you dated a lot. You did.
Oh yeah.
You dated. Tell them what you've told me. This is how she lined up her dates.
I literally I was just in that mindset of I don't want to sit on my couch. Well, first off, let me preference that. But I grew up in the Midwest. A lot of my friends were already married by 26, 27. And I was just like, okay, well, they're already with their families, they're doing their thing. I need to find my person. And I don't want to sit on the couch and just, be whatever in my head.
Right.
So the more people that I would meet, the better off I felt, because I was like, okay, well, hey, maybe it didn't work out with that person, but they could be like, oh, well, it didn't really work out with me, but I do know someone else that I could set you up with. Or there's something about you that really strikes me with someone else that I know.
Wow.
So I was like
little dating network.
Let's do it.
I love that.
Let's do it. I'd always say yes. If someone wanted to, introduce me to someone or, set me up, I'd always say yes. Why not?
Yeah.
What's there to lose? It's a drink. It's a coffee with us. It was dinner, but there's nothing to lose, right? So
That's true.
just kind of go at it that way and see what happens.
I love that. I think that's really good and healthy because you really don't know who you're going to meet. It's kind of that same thing of like, oh, I got to go to this dinner. I got invited, whatever. And you really don't want to go.
Yes.
And then you go and you met like I don't know, this great person that
for sure.
It could have been like, helped you at a job, helped you with connected with your business, anything. That does happen a lot.
And so
I think
I
that's
would
healthy.
do maybe lunch with one guy, get dinner with another, and the third one would be like dessert or drinks. Let's just see.
She had it all: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert.
Let's just see.
All
What's
day.
going on? If I had my face on, I'm like, this face is going on to let's just do this. So yeah, that was just kind of like my attitude. I'm like, let's rock and roll and see what happens and roll the dice.
I love that.
Yeah.
So that's really good. I think encouraging for the women out there and for men, the same thing, men.
Yeah, sure.
Same thing. Men get out there. Another big thing, Naomi and I were just talking about this. Hold up.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Mike, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay. I'm ready.
So your first date, if it would have been Naomi or even any first date, technically, would you pay full price for like if you had a discount or if you had a Groupon, would you use that on the first date or would you pay full price?
So I actually never thought about it. That would be a good idea probably to use a Groupon. It would be nice, but I didn't, I've never actually done that because it just never occurred to me. And I think it would be awkward or weird. Be like, oh, well, I had this Groupon, so why don't we go here or try to explain why and then pull it out or have to use it. So I've never done it, but I never even thought about it, but it's kind of funny, but
it is
not the
funny
best thing to do.
Because he just said it. It really isn't the best thing to do.
It's not the best impression that you want to give
It is
to someone
not.
for the first time that you're meeting them.
For people, real quick.
Yeah.
That happened to me.
No.
That happened to me. I'm just going to keep it real. I went on a date, had dinner and drinks, and right when he was paying, he goes, I have this it's a friend. A friend gave me a gift, and he literally pulled out the app on his phone, and it was a Groupon.
Oh.
And I'm like, it kind of takes me sometimes to process things because I didn't even say anything.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, wow, I'm all about deals. Believe me, I love deals. I go shopping for sales and all that stuff. No, I'm all about a deal. But it made me right then, I was like, that is not what I would have done on a very first date.
Absolutely not.
I just didn't think, because it made me feel cheap.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. I'm just going by right then, that instant, it made me feel cheap. So, so men out there, if you're single, just don't do it. You can do that later on, maybe on your several other dates.
Absolutely.
Like after.
Sure.
But your first date, I just was like, what?
Yeah.
And of course, there was not a second date with that one.
Bye.
So I'm just saying, bye.
Yeah. But I agree. It's not a good first impression. And then also probably, again, it's going to make someone think, oh, why are you doing that? What's going on? Either it's, you're going on tons of dates and is this just what you're doing? Or the other thought is this person doesn't think that, this is really important or worth it or, and that's not the impression you want to give either. Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't.
No, you didn't do that. I wanted a guy's point of view. I was just curious. Yeah. I mean, you never thought about it, but then you were like, if you think about it and you were thinking about it, then you're like, I don't think I would have done that.
No,
that's all. It's just first impressions are big.
Yeah.
They really, really are. Yeah. So,
and it doesn't have to be like a huge thing, right? So like an intimate place with a drink in hand and having good conversations will win me over any day.
Yeah.
Then like pulling out a Groupon of like, oh, here's an awesome place that I wanted to take you to, or like have an experience with on your first date. No, just go slow and easy and see what happens and go from there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I had to, I had to share that one. I was just curious about that one. There's different ones that it's quite comical. It was funny, and I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I don't think I'd be able to do that. I mean, it's one of those things that like maybe if I talk to someone beforehand and it's a couple dates in, it's like, hey, I actually have this random Groupon. Would you be interested? But it wouldn't be something where it's like, oh, I planned this all out. By the way, it's a Groupon. I'd definitely
It's like,
be
here,
like,
I'm going to pay with the group. It was just like, it was crazy. I was like, wow. I was like, anyways. Well, I know. So I think anything else you guys want to share with the audience as far as just, I love your story. I think it's very encouraging and inspiring, especially in today. And if we're all, if there's anybody who's single out there and you're just in the dating world, just be encouraged and inspired that there's love out there.
Absolutely.
There really, really is. And connect with people. Don't be scared. And just get out there, which I love Naomi. I mean, she got out there. I love even what you did. Just get out there. And it's really good. I mean, I'm slowly getting my
feet wet.
I'm
dipping in that pool.
Yes, I am. And I'm enjoying myself. And
you should.
Yeah, we'll see where things go. But no, it is different. It is different. Well, obviously with me, I mean, I was in a relationship or something, but still, even that, it's just a different time.
Totally.
It really is.
Yeah. It's very different. And I think the other thing too, because you mentioned that people don't get back to you that quick. I actually I was bad about that too, but it's because I didn't want the notifications on, because I remembered when I did the online stuff early on, I was checking constantly, and it just became something that was like, this
obsessed
was getting frustrating, right?
Right.
Got too interested in it.
Right.
So I didn't have notifications on, so I'd literally sometimes 2-3 days just get busy or not check. And then I'd have to apologize to 3-4 people and be like, I'm so sorry I didn't check. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I just don't have the notifications turned on. There are either other people who said, I understand, I actually don't have them on either. Or people were like, yeah, sure, whatever. And they either don't respond or, they would talk to me. But so I think it's also just being patient. And also I think it's a good thing to not constantly be on it and checking it constantly.
Right.
It just gives you a little bit of separation. Yeah, it gives you that, because it's just like makes it, I think, a little bit more almost organic, because if you're going to meet someone in person, you're not just going to be like, what's going on? Let's talk for another hour, even though I'm just in the grocery store with you. I mean, it could happen, but that kind of at least prolongs it and gives people time to be like, okay, what's going on? Or, oh, I actually missed talking to this person. So I think that actually helps a little bit too in that sense. So
I will say, like, that whole back and forth thing of like, how's your day? What are you doing? I hate it.
I know. I really did.
I get
don't
like
that
okay,
either.
maybe a couple here lines that whatever.
I
but
don't
like,
like that either.
let's just make a plan.
Yeah.
Tell me time. Tell me
Plan.
where, when.
That's what we're going to say. Yes. So before we do wrap up, this was a big thing Naomi is also, her and I were talking about. Obviously women are, I don't know, pursuers, and they can pursue all that stuff, and that's great. But for the men out there who are single, who are always wanting the women to plan everything and to make the first move and to do all that stuff, that's not what we want.
Yeah.
That's not what a woman wants.
Totally.
Like, they really want just exactly what you said.
Yep.
What time are you going to pick me up?
Yep.
And then that's it.
And
just I love that.
Yes.
I've gone on, yes, I will say, I've gone on several dates that have been planned for me.
It's the best feeling.
It's like
feeling.
A gift.
It feels like a gift.
Hands down, the best.
Yes.
And I think that is what women really want. Yeah. And it just shows a man.
Yeah.
We need some men. So men out there, stop having the women make the first move and really just plan a nice night and be a man and just do that.
Yep.
I don't know what's happening out there, but there's more men they're just, well, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Well, what do you like? And it's just like, I don't know, every once in a while obviously the more you date that person, you can do that. But I think it's nice for those several dates to have the man be the man.
Sure. Yeah.
I enjoyed that. Yeah. But I don't know, ladies, maybe you guys like everything. I don't know. But I think the majority of us women want that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
Totally.
Yeah. And Mike did a great job with all of those.
I love that.
Like, planned everything. And I was like, great, let's do it.
See? And you won her.
Yeah.
You won her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Except for the first one, because I said, let's meet at the Cheesecake Factory. And she's like, that's so boring.
That's right.
So bland. You can't do the Cheesecake
I was
Factory
like,
for your
do you
first
wear
date.
khakis? He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, that's just bland.
It's cheesecake. I actually love the Cheesecake Factory. So
Right?
the Cheesecake Factory. Right, Mike? I know. I get
Right?
you.
I'm not dissing
I'm a
the
little
Cheesecake Factory. Listen, I love their food, all of that. Sorry, but for someone who is coming in, right, khakis.
Done.
But if someone's coming in from like out of town, no, you didn't know that. Sorry,
Yeah,
you didn't
I
know.
didn't know.
Oh my God, hi. But yeah, I don't know, like just pick like a place that I don't know.
Yeah.
is
I
kind of
get
different.
you, but I
don't
do
know.
love me some cheesecake.
Right?
Yeah.
I just
Okay.
figured, multiple
The
options
best.
and
It is. It's cheesecake. They have the best cheesecake. So no, I totally get it.
yeah.
That's funny.
I know, that's funny. All right, guys, thank you so much, seriously, for being on the show. For everybody, I'm going to link up Naomi Epstein's photography.com is her website. And also she has photobizbrand.com. And for Mike, he has serenitytraumacenter.com. And Mike, am I saying that right? Beychok?
Beychok.
Beychok.com. Sorry.
It's okay.
And I'm going to link those up on my podcast and YouTube show. And I just really enjoyed hearing you guys' story. And you want to know what? Everyone who's listening, hang in there. I love this story. They found love during quarantine.
Yeah.
And I think everyone can find love anytime in their life. And that is a wrap. And we are going to cheers this Friday night.
Nice.
All right.
Thanks for having
Thank
us so
you.
much. It was a
You
great
guys.
time.
It was great. Thank
It
you
was
so
fun.
much.
Of course.
Seriously. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Bye. That's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on Life Gone Real. Don't forget to subscribe to my podcast and YouTube channel. Definitely rate it. Leave comments. I'd love to get into your lives a little. Send me some topics you'd like to talk about, or if there's anything you're possibly going through in your life. I'm so glad you're here with me on this journey. Cheers to you and have a great day.